Iranian-American journalist Lisa Daftari joins us now. Well, my friend, the embassy of the United States in Saudi Arabia has been hit by Iranian drones. Israeli media was reporting that Qatar has already carried out airstrikes against Iran, though Qatar denies that. Even Axios is reporting that the UAE might potentially join in. Here's
Right.
my question. What is the strategy of
hmm
Iran? Why would you fire at all your Arabic neighbors? It doesn't seem to make sense.
Right. And more recently, both Qatar and Saudi moving closer to Iran in the regime in certain ways, making deals. I'm not saying they became actual allies, but they were moving closer to one another. So why would they do this to alienate themselves further? Well, the Persian Gulf Arab states already have issues with Iran's regime. They're Sunni, they're Shiite. They know that from 1979, this regime wanted to export its brand of militant Islamic extremism and the Shiite brand to the rest of the world, obviously starting out with the region. Why would they start firing at these Gulf states? Well, the Iran regime believes that Donald Trump's worst nightmare is for this war to continue on for longer than it has to, for it to become larger in scope than it has to, and for his opponents to be right. This is another forever war. This is leading to World War III, and all the scary things that his opponents have said and continue to say, by the way. So the Iran regime believed that if they get these Arab states involved, if there is the threat of more military groups involved, then the world community will put pressure on the Trump administration to cease fire, to stop this war. They will be rebuked in the global stage, and that is exactly what they thought. Huge miscalculation on the part of the mullahs. No surprise there. Why is this a miscalculation? Because we saw in the first Trump administration the moderate Arab states lining up to normalize relations with Israel, with the West, in the Abraham Accords. Why? Because they stood, number one, against Iran's regime, and number two, they wanted to look forward to prosperity, to economic deals, private and public. Let's move on. Doesn't matter who you worship, how you worship, we're going to move on to a modern Middle East. Why is this a miscalculation? Because after this war dies down, those Arab states not only will right now in the current scheme of this war stand against Iran's regime, support the United States and Israel in their endeavor to stop Iran's regime, to collapse Iran's regime, but moving forward, they will pivot even further to stand with Israel, to become signatory to the Abraham Accords if they haven't done so already. They will unite with the Iranian people. And again, huge and colossal miscalculation on the part of the regime. And I think it will only benefit those who envision a Middle East that is governed by alignment, by friendship, by prosperity, by deals, by tourism, and obviously forward facing towards the West and towards Israel.
Yeah, it almost seems suicidal. Like, why? You see the videos of drones hitting hotels in Dubai. You're like, what are they doing? Hitting the public airport in Kuwait. It's like, how could you be so stupid? But as someone who obviously dedicated much of your life to understanding the Ayatollahs and the Iranian regime, not that you're going to give like a full dissertation, but like, what is the, I
Right.
guess, theology of this regime that makes them kind of do things that you would think that doesn't make any sense?
You used a word that I stop everyone when they say suicidal. This regime is not suicidal. They have an ideology, right? They use again an extremist, terrorist, barbaric version of Shiite Islam, and they use that ideology to live, to survive, to reign. They will not die by that ideology. So what does that mean? They will fire every single missile that they have. They will try to use every single way possible, whether that means sleeper cells in the United States and in Europe, whether that means firing into the Persian Gulf Arab states to, again, expand this war, whether it means taking hostage, whatever they can do, they will do. And they have done that from day one. From 1979, they came into power and they said, big Satan, little Satan. They made the United States their enemy. They burned American flags. They said death to America. They took American hostages. And since then, I laugh when people say there's not ample evidence that we should have gone to war with them. 47 years in the making, they have launched war against the United States and against Israel. We're just ending this war. We're not starting a new war. So, it's the ideology or theology of this regime is to stay in power and do anything it takes. When they're willing to, in wholesale fashion, use military grade weapons against 30 to 40,000, if not more, Iranian freedom protesters, they're not there to protect the Iranian people. They're not there to govern. They're not there. They don't truly believe in a God. They're using this ideology to stay in power, to fill their pockets. Their own children are off in the United States and in Europe, living in the lap of luxury while the Iranian people suffer. So the Iranian people have said, enough is enough. The jig is up. We have come to the point where this cannot sustain itself anymore. And that is why the foregone conclusion here, I know the United States is not using the language of regime change, while Israel is moving closer to that language. The United States is using regime collapse. The strategic imperative of the United States is only that this regime cannot have nuclear weapons. Well, the existence of this regime and having deadly weapons is synonymous. So they cannot go back to power and also meet the criteria of the United States and our strategic priorities. So again, the foregone conclusion becomes we are working towards regime collapse. Donald Trump has looked into the camera to the Iranian people and said, we will then pass the baton to you. The future of Iran and the destiny that you want to map out is in the hands of the Iranian people, and seize that destiny and seize that opportunity. So the Iranian people are waiting for this military campaign to play itself out. I think people are having the conversation of succession way too prematurely. We have to allow the military campaign to degrade this regime so that then the Iranian people can take that baton from Israel and the United States and hopefully move forward towards a future that they determine.
Well, Lisa, I haven't talked to you since this weekend, and maybe my last question. We're obviously going to have you back on. Um, how are you processing the past 72 hours? What is this? What's going on? I know I've seen you on Fox News. You're on, Eric Stackleback show. You're doing all the things, but in those moments where you actually have a minute to think and process about what you're seeing, something that you've been waiting for decades. How are you? How are you processing this moment?
Yeah, it's surreal. I just got goosebumps as you were even, posing that question to me. As you said, this is my life's work. Not only that, as a little child, I sat around the dinner table with the conversations that my parents would have. My family obviously moved to the United States before the revolution, but their plan was always to go back. And then when the revolution happened, they stayed. So we were, in fact, displaced because of this revolution and because of this regime. So, this is something that I've watched since I was a little girl, and obviously dedicated a career to studying the Middle East and the politics of the Middle East, particularly that of Iran. It's surreal. I mean, I think it really hit me when I just had a moment to drive through the jubilation in Los Angeles when I was going to the TV studio, and I just had tears. You cannot explain to people, to any normal human being, what people have to come to after 47 years to actually beg for foreign intervention, to beg for missiles raining down on their soil, on their heads, in order to obtain a freedom that they never thought was possible. And that's where the Iranian people are at. No matter where they are in the world, they're feeling this with every cell of their bodies. And it's tremendous to think that that moment might be upon us. The United States and Israel have gifted the Iranian people something they haven't had in almost 5 decades, and that's optimism. And it's incredible to watch a people that have so much potential, a potential that has been dimmed for 47 years, potential in the arts, in music, in poetry, in technological advancement, AI. I mean, you name it. I mean, so much potential will be opened up to the world, and a free Iran will be a gift to the entire global community. I think it's a tremendous moment for everyone, and I really implore people to learn more about this, learn more about the history and why we are at this moment. Again, this is people have said this. This is not my own words, but this is not a war; it's a rescue mission, and I think that is, in fact, true. I think the Iranian people are at the dawn of a new day, and I look forward to seeing what they will create going into their future.
Lisa, my friend, thank you so much as always, and God bless.
God bless you.